They descended without warning, without fear, without hesitation. The Zereth Dominion, lords of a dozen star systems, had watched humanity's colonies rise with suspicion. To them, Earth's expansion was little more than a pestilence, an infestation daring to root itself in soils that belonged to their ancient sovereignty. So they acted. The first strike came against Valora's Reach, a thriving human colony orbiting a young blue star. With a population of 60 million, its cities gleamed with silver spires, trade routes, and laughter echoing through domes that kissed the stratosphere. The Zereth fleet entered orbit like a curtain of knives. Their warships did not announce themselves, did not parley, did not even broadcast demands. They opened fire. Glass domes shattered. Spires crumbled into molten rivers. Oceans boiled as orbital strikes fell in rhythmic precision, each detonation calculated to erase human presence forever. Civilians ran, screamed, prayed to gods who were silent, and above it all, the Zereth commander, High Strategos Kalir, spoke only one sentence to his fleet. Let the humans burn. Let the galaxy see their fragility. 2. Thrones bathed in arrogance. The attack was not merely destruction, it was spectacle. The Zereth broadcast their victory to surrounding sectors, showing humans turned to ash beneath their might. In the marble halls of their throne world of Keshar, nobles dined while the fires of Valora's Reach flickered across towering crystal screens. Goblets of crimson wine were raised. Laughter thundered through chambers lined with gold. They mocked humanity. Earth was silent when we slaughtered their kin, said one noble. Reclined in silken robes. They posture with diplomacy, yet bleed like cattle, sneered another. The Dominion's council declared Earth weak, too restrained by its notions of peace, too fractured by its ethics. They boasted that humanity would beg, would kneel, would accept humiliation. They expected protests. They expected pleas, perhaps even warships sent in futile defiance. What they did not expect was nothing. For weeks after Valora's Reach burned, Earth remained silent. No broadcasts, no retaliatory strikes, no fleets charging into Zereth space, just silence. The galaxy whispered that humanity had been cowed, that the upstarts had learned their place, that the quiet was the whimper of a beaten species. The Zereth celebrated on their thrones. They mistook silence for submission, and in their arrogance, they did not realize that silence is not always weakness. Sometimes it is the breath before the scream. Crew. The quiet. Before the fire on Earth, the fires of morning burned hotter than any sun. The images of Valora's Reach carved scars across every human soul. Entire bloodlines erased in minutes. Children turned to ash, cities silenced mid-song. But humanity did not weep for long. In the steel-clad halls of the Terran Defense Assembly, silence held not from cowardice, but calculation. The generals, admirals, and leaders of Earth spoke not in anger but in cold, deliberate tones. "We have been tested," said Admiral Rhea Solarin, her voice carrying across the chamber like steel dragged against stone. "They mistake patience for surrender. They believe restraint is fear. Let us teach them what becomes of those who corner humanity." From the shadowed docks of Luna to the hidden shipyards beneath Europa's oceans, Earth's fleets stirred. Dreadnoughts long held in reserve slid from hangars, their hulls etched with names of lost colonies. New weapons, tested in silence and perfected in obscurity, were armed for war. The silence of Earth was not surrender, it was preparation. When silence broke it, began without warning. Zereth patrol fleets along the frontier reported faint sensor ghosts. Shadows too large, too fast, too deliberate. Before they could react, their communications cut out. The last transmissions captured static and one chilling sound. The voice of a human officer whispering, "We are coming." Then silence again. Days later, the Dominion's border fortress at Ralkor was reduced to molten ruin. No survivors. Sensors recorded human dreadnoughts phasing into existence like phantoms, unleashing devastation, then vanishing before reinforcements arrived. On the throne world of Keshar, nobles gathered in alarm. "The humans are striking back," some cried, but others scoffed. "These are mere raids. The Dominion is eternal. Earth cannot wage true war." They still did not understand. Because for the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw humanity mobilize in its entirety. Fleets poured from Sol like rivers of iron. Carriers large enough to blot out stars. Swarms of smaller warships flanking them like hunting wolves. Armored soldiers marching with silent purpose, their weapons designed not for conquest, but annihilation. Earth's silence had ended, and when humanity finally spoke, their voice was fire. The Sons of Thrones diminished. The war did not unfold like the Dominion expected. They anticipated pitched battles, glorious confrontations where their fleets would crush the upstarts as they had crushed others. Instead, humanity gave them nothing of glory, only horror. Entire Dominion shipyards vanished in single strikes, precision bombardments turning orbital rings into expanding clouds of debris. Supply routes once considered untouchable fell silent, raided by human fleets that appeared like ghosts and left nothing but wreckage. When the Zereth finally mustered, their grand fleet, 500 warships strong, humanity, met them at Drekar Nebula. The battle lasted less than an hour. Human dreadnoughts unleashed weapons the galaxy had never seen. Singularities chained in containment, released like beasts across the void. Beams of white fire that cut through kilometer-thick armor as if through parchment. Autonomous swarms that infiltrated enemy ships, turning their own reactors into weapons against them. When it ended, not one Zereth vessel remained intact. Survivors scattered in escape pods, whispering prayers into the dark. Prayers that were never answered. The galaxy watched in horror. Nobles who had laughed over feasts now trembled behind fortress walls. Alien kings who had mocked humanity now issued panicked proclamations of neutrality. Because in every Dominion system humanity touched, there was one common result. Silence. No broadcasts. No survivors. No thrones left standing. The fire that consumed crowns. The final act came when Earth's fleets reached Kishar, the jeweled heart of the Zereth Dominion. The thrones that had once mocked humanity now shook with fear. The skies above the planet darkened as the largest human fleet ever assembled emerged from void gates, blotting out suns. A single message was broadcast to the Dominion, not in arrogance, not in rage, but in cold finality, for Valora's reach, for every voice you silenced, for every child you burned. We are Earth, and we are your end. The bombardment began, orbital defenses shattered within minutes. Cities burned as precision strikes turned monuments of arrogance into molten rivers. Palaces crumbled, thrones vaporized, and the nobles who once dined on laughter now drowned in silence. When the fires dimmed, nothing remained of Keshar but ash and glass. The Dominion, once a mighty empire, was gone, erased in a single campaign of calculated vengeance. And across the galaxy, species who once mocked humanity trembled in awe. Ashes and silence. When the war was over, Earth did not boast. They did not parade their victory or demand tribute. They simply withdrew. Their fleets, still shrouded in silence, returned to Sol. Their soldiers disembarked, their weapons sealed away once more. Humanity spoke not of glory, but of survival. Yet the galaxy never forgot. Survivors whispered of burning thrones, of suns dimmed by human fleets, of vengeance so absolute it could not be measured, and most haunting of all, of silence. For in the end, it was not the fire that terrified the galaxy most. It was the quiet that came before and after. The silence of Earth, vast and patient, waiting like a storm. From that day forth, whenever new empires rose, whenever ambitious rulers whispered of challenging Earth, they remembered the fate of the Zereth, and a single phrase echoed across the stars. Never provoke Earth again, for their silence burns brighter than any sun, and their vengeance consumes thrones. 8. The lesson carved into eternity. The galaxy came to understand a truth carved not in stone, but in fire. Humanity does not seek conquest. They do not rush to war. Their silence is vast, their patience deep. They will endure insult, injury, even atrocity. But when humanity's silence ends, it ends with annihilation. Earth's quiet became legend. A dread reminder that to corner humans is to awaken something older, darker, and far more merciless than any throne can withstand. And so, in hushed tones across courts and councils, the warning passed from ruler to ruler, father to child, commander to recruit. Earth's silence is not weakness, it is the shadow of vengeance, and when it breaks, it burns brighter than the suns of alien thrones.